Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are going through a new video today that was released by the European Cricket Network, which is a Foundry for Builders company. Now, this is an incredibly interesting company to me. And it's an incredibly interesting partnership. Foundry for Builders, for those that don't know, is the cohort of startups. There's about, I think, 12 to 18 of them that were picked by Palantir about a year and a half ago to be some of the early adopters of Palantir's Foundry software. These companies don't really have to pay for Foundry. They kind of get an exclusive license for free to be able to work and build their platforms on top of Foundry. And the goal is that if Palantir can give startups, companies that are doing, relatively barely a couple million in revenue, may not even be making that much revenue, but they have a lot of potential, their software, and those companies are able to build massive businesses on top of those software, they essentially become more case studies for Palantir's operating system. Remember, Palantir is a data operating system that allows you to understand the integration of your data from siloed places into one unified, what they call ontology. And if small startups are able to build massive business and grow exponentially based upon building their businesses on top of Palantir's Foundry, that serves as a case study to the entire industry that maybe this is the software we should be building upon, which is why Sham Sankar says that Foundry will be what AWS was last decade to developers for this generations of developers. This company is unique to me because they're a media company. The European Cricket Network is not some fancy special company. They create media, they record a lot of commentary and make a lot of shows around cricket, and then they sell advertisements against that and or subscriptions, and that's how they make money. So the fact that they're using Palantir Foundry was an interesting thing for me to just be able to sort of see how other companies are leveraging it. So let's go there right now. And we are going to watch this video and see what they are saying and how they're using Palantir.
What I'm most excited about is having the chance to use a combined passion for cricket and technology with Palantir as the platform for making cricket the #1 team bat and ball sport in Europe for the next generation. The European Cricket Network is the digital home of cricket in Europe. The ECN produces live, TV quality broadcasts of European cricket events throughout the year. ECN's innovation has the potential to make cricket the largest summer bat and ball team sport across Europe in the next generation and beyond.
Now, cricket is very popular in India and Pakistan. I know this because I'm from India. I've never got into cricket. I never wanted to watch cricket. I was always into basketball, but now I don't even have time to watch basketball. In Europe, cricket's popular, but it's not as popular as where it is in Asia. So one of the things about a media company is that the goal of a media company is to create so much media around a certain topic or niche or idea that it becomes mainstream. And so when you have the European Cricket Network saying we are trying to grow the game at such an exponential level across Europe, then that means there's going to be multiple countries adopting the game, multiple more media outlets adopting the game. And this is exactly what happened with the NBA back in the 80s. David Stern, who was the commissioner of the NBA, rest in peace, he unfortunately passed away a few years back. He was able to use Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. And if you don't know who these are, think of them as like the real superstars of the basketball era in the 80s and 90s to be able to propel the game to a global audience. When you get a global audience and not a domestic audience, everything changes. The money starts to go up. You have more people involved in the game. You have more tickets. You have more brands, you have more sponsorships, because everyone around the world can attach their name to a sport that is universally loved, which is why football or soccer is one of the most profitable sports in the world. And this is what, European Cricket Network is trying to do for cricket in Europe.
Successfully broadcasted over 1,500 matches in the past 12 months at venues across 33 countries in Europe, with our digital operations being managed remotely in the cloud across 4 time zones. What's keeping me up at night is the connectivity between at-venue production and operations with our remote digital partners and in-house content creation teams. Our anti-corruption and our integrity operations, the weather patterns that are affecting our events, and the product strategy across the board. When we set out to build our tech stack, the key considerations were cost, scalability, and team collaboration. But the biggest problem was the amount of disparate data sets across the organization.
So they're noticing that the biggest problem, which is what Palantir is built in to kind of solve, is the disparate data sets that existed within their company is what didn't allow them to come up with decisions quicker and faster and in a more effective manner in order to drive their business further. So from a business intelligence perspective, having that data in disparate areas and not in one centralized location was essentially the downfall of their ability to be able to grow.
So in the short term, our requirements have been stitching together different pieces of information and resource allocation along with analytical tooling on a day-to-day basis. We rely on data and analytics to inform our decision-making and automation with regards to broadcast production, event operations, scheduling and formatting, anti-corruption, integrity, plus audience analytics from all of our digital platforms.
There's a lot of stuff he said there, right? Event scheduling, powering the actual game, broadcasting, audience analytics. This is a lot of data that you need to be able to understand and interpret in a meaningful capacity to make a decision. It's not just like, oh, you see the data and then you make a decision. It's how do we interpret this stuff to be able to figure out, oh, maybe in this part of Europe, people are liking cricket a lot more, so we need to expand things, but only on certain days. So what does that tell us about the relationship that people have with their TV watching cricket on certain days versus not? There's so many things that go into this that it ultimately becomes a data-driven decision if you actually know what the data is telling you.
Palantir, Foundry has let us do things that were never possible before, such as quickly connecting disparate datasets, integrating data and harmonizing it, while maintaining granular access controls and data health. Quickly surfacing vital information to our operations in a fraction of the time. We now build these applications in hours, not weeks or months, or never at all. Essentially, it's engineering lift for a fraction of the price. We are planning to use Foundry's capabilities to scale up our business for the future by accelerating our events and digital platform developments and by powering our operations and productions. With our entrepreneurial intuition, we can now use Palantir to ask the right questions of the data with the best interface and integration tools combined, all in one place. The biggest opportunity for the ECN is to keep continuing to learn what cricket lovers want and how to engage new fans to European cricket.
Okay, there you go. That is the European Cricket Network using Palantir's Foundry. So a couple of things on this as oh, here we go. There we go. Back to normal. So one of the interesting things about this is I found out about these guys back in December and I started researching them. And the reason I was excited about the European Cricket Network is because they're a media company. And a media company using Palantir is something I had not seen before outside of the company in Switzerland that they're working with. I forgot their name. It was something with an S, but they were working with them to drive more audience analytics and things of that nature. A media company is pretty basic at the end of the day. Like, it's not that complicated. There's things involved there, but at the end of the day, they're creating media and they're trying to generate enough attention, capture enough attention, and then sell ads against that. Every YouTube channel is a media company at the end of the day. So the understanding of your analytics helps you optimize that stuff. So for example, when I make a video and it has a low click-through rate or it doesn't get that many impressions, which is the stat that YouTube shows you how many times they showed people your video. Or, the duration is low, or people start leaving after the second minute of the video. It's like, these are all analytics that allow me to understand what's going on with my content that I can optimize it to make it better. In fact, none of this exists for audio content, which is why I have a startup that's trying to basically do all of that for audio, but nonetheless, that's in the description. The point is, if you have analytics that are able to help people understand what they're doing, everything changes. Palantir takes it to a different level. Palantir is like, okay, we are going to give analytics at such a granular scale that you're going to be able to know such nitty-gritty details, and then we're going to use AI and machine learning on top of their ontology, which then not only does it centralize the data, it almost does hyper simulations at scale so that you're able to understand what different scenarios you could do if this and thing can happen, and you can change all the variables, and you're like, oh, these are the different outcomes, almost like it's predicting what it could do for your business. And if you could do that for a media company, which is one of the more simpler companies, imagine, and we've seen this being done for other companies that have different types of scale. So that's why I wanted to cover this. It's interesting to understand Palantir's relationship with them. Again, I will say this in every video, their go-to-market and their sales strategy is lacking right now. They have to figure that out. Once they do figure that out, I think the power of what they're bringing to the marketplace is so unique that a lot of businesses will adopt it. A lot of governments will adopt it, as we've seen they have. It's just a question of if they can figure out sales and marketing. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you feel about cricket. Let me know how you feel about this partnership. Let me also know if you watch cricket and if you're a fan of cricket. And overall, how do you think about Palantir's ability to help the European Cricket Network drive the game forward? Thank you so much for listening and watching. I will see you in the next one.